Before we get very far into our next story, we do have a warning for you tonight. What you're about to see and hear may not be suitable for children. Tonight, take a walk in their world.
Transpicuous News, connecting the dots between the lines. Good afternoon, everyone. It is Dee with Transpicuous News for a special report today. It is Monday, the 24th of August, and apparently a Black Monday it is, because holy flying fuck on a stick, the markets aren't very happy. Now, I've already tried to record this 3 separate times and not seeming to have much luck, so I'm going to keep it short and sweet this time, or not so sweet, depending on how you want to look at it. We watched the Asian markets open last night and plummet. We watched the European markets open this morning and seriously plummet. And everyone waited to see the US markets open. And plummet they did. I watched the NASDAQ drop 11% on open. You could literally watch the numbers falling unbelievably fast, and the Dow and the S&P. So, some interesting things are going on though. There's a little bit of manipulation playing out. We watched at about 12:30 London time, something came out of the city of London that manipulated, corrected, depending on however you want to call it, the markets in Europe. And we watched them kind of falter and kind of pause, maybe look like they were going to pick up a little bit. Held there briefly until the US market opened and crashed through the floor and across the board. Media everywhere calling it Black Monday. Now, there's some spectacular manipulation going on as well. I'm going to go to the screen share. Guys, this is not my usual news report, so it's not all pretty and set up and organized as usual, so bear with me a moment. Want to show you, here we go. First off, we have zero hedge. Now, bear with me a second, I'm trying to fix my screen, guys. We have zero hedge, goes live first thing this morning, showing the NASDAQ was halted, then the Dow was halted, and the S&P 500 futures was halted for the first time in history. Why were they halted? Oh, well, we know they've got safeguards and blocks to stop things. Or were they halted so that they could, fix the algorithms a little bit? Maybe make it a little more palatable? Change how the numbers are calculated so it doesn't look as bad as it actually is, because the markets are starting to do a little rebound in the US. Very little, but a little. Europe's not, and Asia's closed. So we're going to have to see what happens tonight when Asia opens. But I want to show you a couple of things, okay? Last night on Transpicuous News, we talked about distractions, and we talked about everything going on in the world is a whole fuck of a mess. So what are they distracting from? Well, guess what, folks? Today, they need a big distraction. They're going to need a very major distraction, because while the mainstream media keeps trying to point the finger over at China and say things like, oh, everyone's kind of a bit of a freak out because of China, yeah, people aren't buying it anymore. It's not happening. They're not selling it at all. So, distractions. Now, I want to show you a couple of things. This is in no apparent order. Sorry, guys, it's just the way it goes. Oh, yeah, there you go. For those of you who are still, on the Trump bandwagon, he just fully endorsed Netanyahu. So you just got your response there. Donald Trump is a Zionist, so, give it up already. But that's neither here nor there. News story comes out yesterday out of South Korea. This is a really, really bad Google Translate, as usual. South Korea News put out a report that North Korea's Navy, in particular, 50 North Korean submarines, left port, and they can't find them. So 70% of North Korea's submarine navy, 50 ships, the largest rate of deployment since the Korean War. And South Korea can't seem to find where they went to. 50 submarines. Interesting. Now, we have explosions in China. We have arguments between the US and China over certain little islands here, there, and everywhere. And we have Russia and China military drills. Oh, in the South China Seas. And now we have North Korean submarines that gone missing. And let's not forget, as we talked about last night, North Korea and South Korea exchanging missile fire over the border. Could that be a lead up? Could that be the big distraction they're going to play? But play it over there, you know, where the media is much more highly controlled, instead of playing it out in the Europe or North American arenas where, you know, might be a little more difficult to control things. Keep your eyes open. There's some interesting shit going on. Also going to show you this. This happened yesterday. The U.S. equities futures plummeted through the floor to as low as 1913, down a whopping 58 points. And officially in 10% correction territory. Oh, isn't it funny how the word correction just keeps getting tossed around continuously in the stock market? One would ask, what is it they're correcting for? Little piece of news came out Friday. I just found it yesterday or this morning early. Fort Bragg calls up 600 troops for a domestic disaster training exercise. Nuclear, chemical disaster training exercise. Out of the blue. It's funny how those things all come together rather quickly. So, as I keep saying to everyone, they're playing the distractions to the maximum. And this one, they're going to have to really distract from, because the whole pointing the fingers at China is not working. So, be aware, be prepared, keep your eye on the ball, because they're going to pull something, and it's going to be probably in the next 48 hours. Big ass distraction. I will also note one of these conversations I've had over the course of the last week. When there's no money left in the system, none, then you need to gather up whatever bits and pieces you can. So they go into the stock markets and hyperinflate them, as we've seen done right across the board in all of them for a year and a half or so. And then once you get them to the level you want them at, then you pull all your money out. Stuff it in your mattress, just like JP Morgan did in 1929, and let everything fall. They know it's coming because they're half the driving point that's making it happen. But I'd be saying perhaps they should be checking who's got money in their accounts and where, because they're the ones who are collecting up all the pieces on the chessboard as far as the financial coins go. So anyways, folks, that's it for this special report. Anything else new happens, I will be up and on the run as soon as I can. I'll see you tonight on the round table. I've got another special guest. Until then, I'll see you next Sunday for Transpicuous News. Good night, everyone.
Transpicuous News, connecting the dots between the lines.